Wow, that's a trip. Okay, we are live and not expecting anybody to be on here. So, totally fine. This is the Lowdown coming to you live for my first stream. Just testing the waters out, but I thought I'd throw out my 2021 Lowdown Awards. Um, so, what I do with the Lowdown Awards is I have three requirements. Number one, the movie has to have been released on physical media in the calendar year. So sometime between January 1st and December 31st of 2021, that movie had to be released on physical media, DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, whatever, not streaming. Um, and theatrical releases don't count. Has to be released on physical media. Rule number two is I have to have seen the movie. Can't judge it unless I've seen it. Rule number three is I have to own the movie. So I have to have bought the movie on physical media, which means, I generally don't buy crap. Some people might say I buy crap. I generally don't buy crap. But um, so I have to own the movie, have seen the movie, and it has to be released on physical media in the calendar year. I have one other rule, and that is usually I don't have any movie nominated for multiple awards. I couldn't do that for 2021 because I got to admit it was a terrible year for me. I didn't get to watch as many movies as I wanted to. I didn't get to buy as many movies as I wanted to. And I didn't get very many super high scores. So in the interest of not having very many options, I had to nominate movies for multiple categories. But I don't generally like to do that. Usually I get to watch more than 100 movies a year. For 2021, it was somewhere around in the 80 mark. So it's pretty light. And I got to say, it was a disappointing year for me for movies. But I did get some great 4Ks. A lot of them are for older movies, though, so they don't count. So, anyway, let's talk about the categories. So, to start us off, we're going to have, I usually have my favorite movie of every genre. And this year, I decided to do something a little bit different because I don't want to say, oh, okay, my favorite action movie, my favorite animated movie, my favorite comedy, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go by aspect. So, what's the number one aspect of an action movie that I want is violence. So, my category is most violent. So, I picked three nominations for each one of these categories. And as I said, the first one is most violent. So let's take a look at the nominees for most violent movie. So first is Cop Shop. And is that reversed? Because I would hate that to be reversed. It looks like reversed. Number two is Nobody. I think everything's reversed. Number three, Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. So these were my tens as far as violence goes. That means doesn't necessarily mean guns. It could mean um, punching. It could mean car crashes. It can mean explosions. Whatever. The most violent movies, and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's an action movie. If violence is an aspect that I liked in the movie that gets scored, and it gets scored high, then it can be nominated. For example, The Forever Purge was almost nominated because of its violence, but these three beat it out because that was the main thing about these that I liked was the violence. Did they excel in the rest of the categories? Probably not. But I need to see if I can figure out how to reverse the screen. But anyway, so let's start with Cop Shop. Cop Shop, great movie. I actually really liked it. It's nominated in other categories, so you'll see this later. Very violent, great gunfights, great blood scenes, really cool. I did like it, but it doesn't win. So it brings me to the one in second place, and that was The Hitman's Wife's Bodyguard. Again, really violent, great gunfighting, great stuff from Ryan Reynolds and Samuel L. Jackson, Selma Hayek as well. Really great fight scenes. Um, but I kind of expected it. It didn't surprise me. So, because it was very similar to the first movie as far as the action goes. So, you don't win either. So, the winner, most violent in the 2021 Lowedown Awards is Nobody. This surprised me. Really great violence. Um, what I term as the one man army movie. And basically, that means there's one person that goes in and beats everybody up. So I really liked it. It was awesome. I want to see what the. Yeah, I can't do anything. I don't think. Nope, can't do anything. Hmm. All right. Just wondering why this is reversed. But anyway, Nobody. Congratulations, you are my most violent movie of 2021. Yay. Okay. So the next genre that I really like is animated movies. Well, I like all genres, but for animated movies, my number one prime thing that I want from an animated movie is the artwork. I want beautiful artwork. Um, this year, I bet dollars to donuts that Encanto is going to be nominated because it's the artwork is just beautiful in it. So look for that one to be nominated for the 2022 Lowdown Awards. But for 2021, again, I have to say probably animated movies were my favorite category of last year. And I find that kind of odd because I usually don't do that. So anyway, what to do? Can we do polls? Nope. Oh, I can create a poll. Huh. Okay. I'm just going to play with this for a second. Yeah, I don't have anybody on, so let's see. Hmm. Okay. Well, I don't see anything. But oh, all right. I don't have anybody, so okay. I'm just going to end it. But looks like I can do that with the polls, so that's cool. So next year, if I actually get some people watching this, I can make that happen. Okay. So the nominees for animated movie are, I'm sorry, not an animated movie, but best artwork. So the nominees for best artwork are Soul, beautiful Pixar film, also nominated elsewhere, So watch out for that. But it's a beautiful story, great color, a lot of blues and blacks, but um, I really liked it. It's an excellent movie. Number two is Mitchell's versus the Machines. This was a surprise for me because wasn't really interested, but I watched it when it came out on Netflix and I loved it. So when it was released on physical media, I snatched that sucker up. Um, really good story. Very much like a, I don't want to say apocalyptic, but yeah, it's kind of like a, you know, machines are attacking, almost like iRobot, right? But that was pretty awesome. And then number three is Raya and the Last Dragon. Again, beautiful film, lots of colors. I love the Asian element, so I'm a huge fan of Asian stories and martial arts and stuff like that. So this was pretty awesome. Disney did this movie right, I think. It was a beautiful thing. So let's put that up. So even though no one's here, so best artwork is the category. Nominees are Soul versus the Machines, and The Last Dragon, and go. So all really good artwork in their own right, but what would be what would be the way to go? What am I looking for? I'm looking for fluidity. I'm looking for it. I don't necessarily want it to look more human. I don't necessarily want it to look real. Um, and I don't want it to look too cartoony, right? So that being said, although I think the other movies were better animated movies as a whole, my pick for best artwork of 2021 goes to Raya and the Last Dragon. Artwork. I think Mitchell's versus the Machines and Soul were better movies as a whole. But like I said, we're just talking about artwork. So Raya and the Last Dragon, you take the taco. Congratulations. Yay. Nobody votes. Nobody's here. Well, somebody's here. I think somebody's here. Anyway, um, as I said, I'm just testing this out. But next, the next category is comedy. So instead of picking the best comedy of 2021, I decided to change that to the funniest movie of 2021 because there were movies that are classified not necessarily as comedy, but were really, really funny. So since I didn't have a whole lot of options as far as funny goes, so I was like, okay, well, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. So I just came up with my own thing. Anyway, so let's look at the nominees for funniest movie. They are Freaky. Now, Freaky, I classify this as a horror movie because it is very much a slasher movie, but it is really funny. Vince Vaughn is great in this. Um, Definitely surprised me in the humor, and it surprised me with its gore level and its horror element, because I figured if it was going to be a comedy, then it was going to stick to comedy and be kind of lame in the horror department, or it was going to be super slasher movie and not that funny. But it successfully um, navigated both things. So I was really impressed with the comedy of that one. Number two is Love and Monsters. This was kind of a surprise for me. I really liked it. Very much a Zombieland element in the way it's done. The first Zombieland, with the narration and the monsters, and actually really good special effects, good fights, kind of a neat little story to it. But it was pretty funny. I belly laughed a couple times. I was really impressed with it. So good on this one. Love and Monsters, Dylan O'Brien. If you haven't seen it, check it out. And number three is Free Guy. Um, Free Guy, which also will be nominated coming up for another category, but Free Guy is kind of a set in a video game setting, not like Ready Player One. So it's more, it reminded me more of like The Sims. Um, but again, really funny. Got some good belly laughs out of it. Some great cameos with famous people that really cracked me up. So this is one to check out if you haven't. Really good. Um, but we're talking about just straight funny, right? So thinking about all these guys, I'm going to put these in here. So let's see, do a poll. And again, I'm just learning how to do this. So we have Freaky. Yeah, I didn't get a whole lot of just straight flat out comedies. Good Boys was okay, but it was kind of cliche. Um, I think my favorite one was Instant Family, but unfortunately, it was released on physical media, I believe, in 2020, so it did not actually qualify for the 2021 awards. But so yeah, not a whole lot of comedies came through my area to where I wanted to watch them or I bought them. And oddly enough, not a lot of sci-fi movies either, so that was kind of weird. But looking at these three movies, we're talking funny, uh, just for their comedy element. This was kind of a tough choice, and I basically just had to go with which one made me laugh the most, and it was Love and Monsters. I was kind of really liked it. It was a big surprise, and that's the main thing. It surprised me with it was funnier than I thought it would be. Almost makes that. I expected Free Guy to be funny, but um, Freaky almost won that, but it just a little bit, just a little bit off. And Love and Monsters had a little bit more intelligence to me, and I lost my one viewer, but that's okay. So congratulations, Love and Monsters, you win for funniest movie of the year. So the next thing is for dramas. So what is the my number one thing that I like for dramas, and that is um, if it has an interest to me, if I'm interested in the subject matter, or if it seems interesting to watch. And usually that's almost like right off the bat. If I'm not interested in a drama, I'm not going to watch it. I am not a drama fan. But if you give me a really good drama to where I'm like, okay, I'm interested in the topic, let's go ahead and take a look at that. Um, so my nomination first is Stillwater. Matt Damon, Abigail Breslin, uh, really well acted. Um, but I was really interested in the story because Abigail Breslin's character is accused of murder and she's already in prison. But her dad goes over there to visit and tries to get her out, trying to prove her innocence. Um, it didn't play out as well as I wanted, so I was a little disappointed with how the movie came through. But I was interested in the story, and the story itself holds up. So pretty good watch. I wouldn't give it like super high marks, but again, I'm not a drama fan, so um, I generally don't score movies based on whether I like them or not. I score them based on the quality. So that allows me to score a movie well that I don't like and score a movie bad that I do like. So, number two is News of the World. And this is Tom Hanks in a Western, which surprised me. But um, it's the story of Captain Jefferson Kidd and how he travels around reading the newspaper for people. Because back in the Old West, a lot of people couldn't read. Uh, ends up finding this girl, and is charged with taking her to her family. So it's all about that trip and things that happen, and so it was an interesting, um, drawn out adventure. So solid, but again, interesting idea. I liked it. I was interested. So that kind of yeah was cool. Anyway, so third nomination for most interesting is The Card Counter with Oscar Isaac, who is an amazing actor. Um, and Tim, excuse me, Tiffany Haddish, who I used to only think was a comedic actress. She's surprised me in The Kitchen, and now in this movie, she can do some serious roles. So yeah, I'm kind of impressed with that. So let's see. Category is most interesting. I don't know why I'm doing this because there's nobody here. And Stillwater. We're used to doing this. News of the world. When and the card counter. When I get more people on the live cast, then I'll actually have people vote for their pick, and I'll just nominate. But anyway, so again, uh, I was interested in Oscar Isaac's story in this movie, and how he used to be a soldier and what type of person he was, and how that reflects on who he is now as a gambler. And it was a really intricate backstory that you get hints over the course of the movie. So I was more interested as the movie went on, but my initial interest in the movie wasn't as high as the other two. Um, Stillwater had really high interest in the beginning, and that kind of wavered toward the end of the movie. The one that stayed constant through the entire film, and my pick for most interesting movie of the year is News of the World. Congratulations, Tom Hanks. I'm sure you're going to get so much money for this. I've got no listeners. I've got no watchers, but anyway, I had one guy for a little while. All right, so moving on to fantasy. What do I want in a fantasy movie? What I want in a fantasy movie is uh, just a vibrant imagination. And it was that was kind of hard. Of all the movies that I watched last year, there were a lot of fantasy movies, a lot of movies with imagination. Not a lot of sci-fi, unfortunately, but a lot of, you know, we had comic book movies and a lot of comic book movies. And that's kind of where we're going. So, first nomination for most imaginative movie is The Suicide Squad. This, which I like to cover. I guess you could say it's a sequel, but it's also kind of a prequel. Um, I don't know. Anyway, um, the imagination put it into this, as far as the creatures go and the powers and all the stuff, really cool. I was kind of blown away. I can't say that I like. There were things that I liked better about this one than the original Suicide Squad, and there are things that I didn't like as much than the first. There were things I liked better with the first one. So I was kind of back and forth with it, but really, imagination top notch. I mean, that guy was doing some major LSD. So my second nomination is also a 4K steelbook that I bought, and it's for Shang-Chi. Shang-Chi, which is this is a Marvel movie that I wanted for a while now. Um, they actually they actually did a pretty good job, I think, because normally when you get a comic book movie, you don't get the martial arts that you want. Unless, of course, it's Bulletproof Monk, because that was awesome. But Shang-Chi did it right. They did it right, but because they brought in some classically trained martial artists like Tony Leung, who is amazing as the true Mandarin, and Michelle Yeoh, who is one of my favorite people on the planet. Um, she's in here as well. But you get that kind of martial arts clout, and you better do a good job. And they did. Solid movie, good imagination, lots of great special effects. Um, so Shang-Chi is my second nomination. Third and final nomination is the Snyder cut of Justice League. And I have no idea why they didn't even release this in the first place. I know Joss Whedon came in and redid it because Snyder bailed out or whatever the deal was. This was so much better than the original Justice League. That is just it was like shooting a bullet and throwing it. Um, so the imagination that went into this, which is what I wanted, was leaps and bounds better. So most imaginative, and I spelled that wrong. Yay. Okay, so we have Suicide Squad, Shang-Chi, and voila. Still don't know why I'm doing this, but it gets me practice. But anyway, so I mean, they're all kind of like um, just major across the board. Great imagination went into it, and like I said, not necessarily the best fantasy movie, but the best, most imaginative for a movie in any category. So most imaginative movie goes to Suicide Squad because damn. I mean, Justice League and Shang-Chi, better movies as far as I'm concerned, but I just James Gunn did a great job with Suicide Squad. So, congratulations on that. Yeah, I'm not getting any votes. So, I'm going to go ahead and stop doing the polls because I don't have anybody on here. All right. What's next? What's next is the sci-fi movie. So, what is the main thing that I want from a sci-fi movie? That is I want CGI. I want that special effect level. And I got to say there were a lot of good special effects in 2021. It was really impressive. So, I had to pick 3. I had to settle for 3. And so I had to go with the perfect 10s in CGI. But I had like 5 perfect 10s. And I wanna shout out to No Time to Die, which was the James Bond film. That one, although not a whole lot of CGI, great special effects, and almost was nominated for Most Violent, but there was a real lag in that movie, so the violence didn't continue. But No Time to Die, great special effects, but not didn't seem like there's a whole lot of CGI, but I'm sure there's some digital vehicles and stuff like that added to it. Um, and then the next honorable mention I want to give to Old, and um, because there were 2 really good special effects scenes, and they were CGI'd, but they were really good, but they went in as special effects because the movie goes in as a horror movie, not or even a thriller, not a fantasy or sci-fi movie. Last honorable mention I'm going to give for CGI is oh, man, I had it off the top of my head. Um, Escape Room 2, Tournament of Champions. Why? Because of the rooms. The movie was not that great, but the rooms and the special effects and the stuff that went into it, really good, top notch. In fact, that almost would have won if it wasn't for the rest of the movie. All right, so let's get to the nominations for um, best CGI, and that's starting with Free Guy. Uh, duh, the CGI in here was crazy, all kinds of good stuff. So definitely deserves a nomination for best CGI. Second one, kind of a surprise. I had to really think and toss some stuff around before I actually came to this conclusion. But Mortal Kombat, um, again, not a great movie, but the CGI was amazing. Really good fight scenes too, but the CGI was really good. So I'm like top notch. And it would almost be insulting not to nominate this one. So this went out and went back into my nominations, and that was Godzilla versus Kong. Because, I mean, come on. Great, great CGI on it, great special effects. Again, not the greatest movie, but I liked it. I would rather have it um, more toward Skull Island level than toward King of Monsters, but it was good. It was a great movie. So I've got to think of um, just straight CGI. Again, I'm not thinking of the movie as a whole. I am taking some other factors involved, but I'm looking at just the CGI. So if you take every other aspect out of the movie and you just look at the CGI, I see a little bit, just a little bit of a problem with Godzilla versus Kong. And Free Guy is great, but I got to give the nod to Mortal Kombat. So, best CGI of 2021, Mortal Kombat. Congratulations. All right, so where am I at? Two more minor categories, and then we get into the main ones. The next one is for the horror movie. What is the main aspect of a horror movie that I want? And I want that movie to be scary. There are other elements that will make me happy. If it's a slasher movie, I want good gore. If it's or I want good kill scenes. If it's a gore movie, I want gore. If it's a paranormal movie, I want it to be creepy. I want it to creep me out. But every horror movie I watch has to have a scare element. Make me jump, do something, scare me. So it's really hard, because of all the movies we have and how desensitized we are in the horror genre. It's kind of hard to get a perfect score in the scare department. I haven't had a movie do that with me in a long time. So let's go with the first nomination, and that is A Quiet Place Part Two. This was the original movie was amazing. I A story that I have never heard before, very surprising, good element. I love the way they did it. Um, it's kind of something that you can't control. What do you do if you can't make a sound? And if you do, you're dead. So still, even though Quiet Place Part Two does not quite live up to the first one, still really scary. Next one, kind of a surprise. Maybe not, because it was kind of one of the most sought after horror movies of last year because it was so new, and because it's James Wan, and that's *Malignant*. Again, I was surprised at the level. It was good. It didn't check off all the boxes that I wanted, but scary wise, okay. It was good and scary. I put it on par with Quiet Place Part Two as far as scary goes. And then up number three, which is something that never went to the theater. This came out from IFC Midnight, and it is called Sputnik. And this is probably the first, or maybe the only nomination that you guys probably haven't heard of. And it's a shame because this was really, really good. Um, so it's kind of my dark horse here, and um, I wish I didn't get it on DVD. I wish I'd have got it on Blu-ray. But generally, the IFC movies or something like that, you can only find on DVD unless you're lucky. So looking at these one, and again, not that it's the best movie, but I'm looking for just the most scary. *Malignant* is probably my horror movie pick of the year, but not as scary. *Quiet Place Part Two* again could be horror movie of the year because as a total, really good. But my pick for scariest movie of 2021 is *Sputnik*. So if you are a horror movie fan or even a sci-fi fan, give this one a look. Like I said, it's not great, but its scare factor in it's unknown and what's going on, you're trying to figure out what's happening. that gives me a palpitation to where I'm like, okay, I'm on the edge of my seat. I'm trying to figure out what's happening. This is worth a look. Congratulations, Sputnik, for being my scariest movie of 2021. The last category for thriller. Um, the main thing that I'm looking for in a thriller is intensity. I want the movie to be intense. And, prime example would be, a disaster movie or a crime thriller or something like that to where, you know, like Seven. The intensity in Seven was amazing. Or the original Saw, which was actually more of a thriller, like a serial killer thing than gore, which is what it ended up to be. So there are different types of thrillers that can generate different levels of intensity, depending on what it is. So I've got three kind of interesting nominations here, which were, kind of fun, really good movies. And again, this was kind of a tough one. There was a few here where I had to toss around. So the first nominee is Promising Young Woman. And this was, again, big surprise, great movie, really intense. You're trying to figure out what's going on. Um, but it's a great thriller and it's got just a great ending. So, but that's not a factor. We're only looking for intensity. Intensity is pretty high here. Nomination number two is Greenland. And this is a disaster movie, obviously. So the intensity is pretty high here as well. Really good special effects. Again, good story. And I hear there's a sequel coming. So look for that one. The acting's also pretty good in this one too. And nomination number three, although it's a sci-fi movie, the intensity in here is pretty good, and that's Synchronic. This was weird. I gotta say, it was a weird movie. I can't say I loved it, but the intensity was very high. So it definitely gets a nomination for most intense because of what it's doing, and they're trying to figure out what's happening. And I don't want to spoil it, but this takes time travel movies to a different direction, and it's definitely worth a look. It's slow, it's a slow burn, it's really weird, it's kind of twisted, but it's got some really cool elements in here. So this was God, this was kind of a toss up. I was really kind of going back and forth, and it's basically going by what I feel is more intense out of the three. They all got the same score for intensity. Um, and what I did was I tried to put myself in the situation. How would I view that intensity? And again, kind of a toss up. It kind of eliminated one. So I had to decide from the other two, and I wouldn't even say it was a coin flip because I kind of knew where I wanted to go, but I was looking at the scores. I wanted to make sure I judged this right. And the winner for most intense movie of 2021 goes to Greenland. Um, but I gotta say, it was really close for Synchronic. It was closer than I thought it would be. But Greenland takes the taco as far as most intense. So there are your categories. Most violent goes to Nobody. Best artwork goes to Raya and the Last Dragon. Funniest movie goes to Love and Monsters. Most interesting goes to News of the World. Most imaginative goes to The Suicide Squad. Best CGI goes to Mortal Kombat. Scariest goes to Sputnik. And most intense goes to Greenland. Very nice. All right. So coming up next are my four main categories. And I will have to grab some stuff, but the first the first one that I'm going to do is what I call my stinker of the year. And the stinker of the year is basically the movie that I expected more out of and turned out to be disappointed. It doesn't necessarily mean that the movie was bad. And, may not even mean I gave it a bad score. But if I expect something out of it and I don't get it, so like if I expect the movie to be a 9 and I ends up being a 6, then I'm disappointed. If I expect the movie to be a 7 and I get a 5, I'm disappointed. So it's really all about um, the most disappointing movie of the year. Like I said, doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad movie because I generally don't buy bad movies, although I have. But that's mainly like, the blind horror buys. Okay, so the first nominee and for these main categories, so there's four main categories. First main category is stinker, and which I call the 99-cent stinker of the year. The nominees are Voyagers, which, considering the cast, should have been a way better movie. It was very Lord of the Flies like, um, but I, I wanted way more for it from it. It was pretty good, but I I wanted more like maybe not like Passengers, but Passengers is the one that I was thinking of that I wanted to compare it to. Um, but I wanted more of a um, I don't know, more of a story to it than just kind of. But like I said, not bad. It was just disappointing from what I wanted. So, um, I'm trying to think because there's one other movie that I want to have on here, but I wasn't quite sure about it. So, my second nomination for Stinker of the Year goes to Prisoners of the Ghostland. And, I really didn't expect a lot out of it, but I did not like this movie. And I expected to at least like it, to at least because I thought, oh, post apocalyptic, should be some pretty good fight scenes. There was one good fight scene in the movie. And otherwise, I'm just going, ugh, what am I watching? I just, I was really disappointed. I'm sorry I bought this. I really am. And I love Sophia Butella is, I gotta love her, but it just did not appeal to me. Number three goes to Candyman, the reboot or sequel. It's more of a sequel. And it's really not saying anything bad about the movie. The movie was okay. Um, some good kill scenes, pretty good gore, but I wanted Tony Todd, and I didn't get Tony Todd. It's like watching Hellboy without Ron Perlman, to where I'm like, oh, okay, that was fine, but where's Ron Perlman? And that's what I felt the whole time I'm watching this movie, and I'm like, okay, it's pretty good, but I want Tony Todd. I don't want this guy's voice. I want Tony Todd's voice. And if they could have dubbed that onto him when he became Candyman, I mean, it would have been a lot better. But otherwise, yeah, I was disappointed. My final nomination for 99-cent stinker of the year is Wonder Woman 1984. And ugh, this is one. It doesn't get a bad score because it does check some boxes for what I want in a fantasy movie. But oh, please, this was so poorly written. I I don't understand. Let's just make a bunch of crap up. You had such a great thing going with the original Wonder Woman, and then you release this. Is there going to be a Snyder cut of this? Because I would love that. But this is eh, this was a huge disappointment for me. So my my honorable mention for stinker of the year, and I wasn't sure I wanted to put it up because I expected more out of it, but I wasn't really surprised with the score that I gave it, and that was with The Last Duel. Um, I mean, I'm sitting there going, okay, it's Adam Driver, Matt Damon, Alicia Vikander. Was Alicia Vikander? No, Alicia Vikander was in Green Knight. Um, oh man, I can't remember the girl. Anyway, um, but yeah, oh, it was so slow. I was like, oh, just kill me. Um, but that one almost replaced Prisoners of the Ghostland because I didn't expect a whole lot out of this, but I was still it. This was the worst movie I saw last year, for me. So, but because I didn't expect very much from it, it doesn't lose so many points. I expected like a 6, I got a 5, so I was okay with that. But my pick for 99-cent stinker of the year goes to Wonder Woman 1984 because quite simply, this should have been a better movie. Why did they do this? Was it that big of a deal that you release another Wonder Woman movie? I mean, we've been waiting a long time for Aquaman 2. I can wait for a better Wonder Woman movie, but you may have killed the franchise with this. I renounce my wish. Okay, so my next big award goes to my sleeper pick of the year. This is the exact opposite of the stinker. This is one where I didn't expect a lot out of it, and it turned out to be a really pleasant surprise. So I'm going to grab those because they were all previously nominated. Okay. Yeah. So these were all previously nominated in other categories because they were that good. They deserved they deserved a nomination. And they were movies where I was like, I'm not expecting a whole lot from it. And then I was like, you know what? That was really good. I was really surprised. So my first nomination for sleeper pick of the year is Freaky because I was expecting him either to be good horror, bad comedy, or bad horror, good comedy, or really bad at both because they were trying to do something stupid. And it turned out to be really good. There's a good horror element for you slasher fans out there. There's a good comedic element for those Vince Vaughn fans because it's the stupid Vince Vaughn comedy stuff. You gotta appreciate that. You gotta like the internship and dodgeball to be able to appreciate this. But but really good. This is definitely worth a watch. Second nomination for sleeper pick of the year is Promising Young Woman. Again, this was a big surprise for me. I watched it thinking, I'm probably, not going to really like it, but I'm going to check it out. I watched it on HBO, I think, and then I turned around and bought it because I was like, dude, really good. So very impressive. Or I watched it on streaming or something. But I know I saw it and then I turned around and bought the movie. Third nomination goes to Love and Monsters, which won for best comedy or funniest movie, I should say. Um, Love and Monsters was good. Dylan O'Brien was good. Loved the story. Loved how it played out. Very, very Zombieland-ish. So that was good. I was really impressed. And then my final nomination first sleeper pick of the year is Cop Shop. This is one I didn't expect anything out of. I'm like, okay, Gerard Butler, Frank Grillo, I'll go ahead and get it. But it was that girl that surprised me in the movie, and Toby Huss, who is in here. Hilarious. This almost got nominated for funniest movie, but it wasn't an aspect that I was looking for in this genre. But hilarious, and it was just him. He like stole the show for me. But really good action. Kind of a neat little story for it being confined like it is, but I liked it a lot. So this was interesting. And for these particular categories, for this particular category, I go by the score. And because they were all good, they were all sleepers. So the highest score out of these four movies and the winner of my sleeper pick of 2021 is Promising Young Woman. Watch this movie when you get a chance. Really good. All right. So, two more categories. Next up is going to be my 4K movie of the year. And why am I doing the 4K movie first? Because the 4K movie is not necessarily my movie of the year. The 4K movie of the year is for the best new movie that was for the best 4K transfer. Now, it has to be a new movie. It can't be a movie that was released a long time ago and then they just remastered it to 4K, because that's going to be hard for me to keep track of. But uh, so these are not necessarily the best movies I've seen. These are the best 4K movies I bought that actually got released in 2021. So it has to be a new movie that was released in 2021, and I have to have bought it on 4K. So I'm not going to give a 4K award for a movie I bought in Blu-ray. Um, okay, so these are just 4Ks. Now that I'm actually buying 4Ks, I can actually do this the right way. So first nomination for 4K of the year is Zack Schneider's Justice League. And I mean the yeah, the 4K transfer on here, really good. Um, I was so impressed with how they did it. The only thing that bugged me was that it was on 2 discs because the movie was long, so it had to go on 2 discs. Uh, but other than that, stellar. Just an amazing film. You could actually watch the first disc, take a break, and then come back and watch the second half. Um, so coming up with at number 2 is Shang-Chi. Um, again, 4K, really good colors, really nice. Love the special effects on it. Good sound. Um, but the 4K on that is really nice. Uh, so surprise, Dark Horse, my third nomination for 4K movie of the year is Jungle Cruise. Um, Jungle Cruise had a very Pirates of the Caribbean feel to it, only lighter, but I really liked the 4K. It was really nice to watch and really nice to hear. So this was a really good 4K transfer. And the final nomination, it's been nominated for other things, is Free Guy. Uh, again, good movie, really funny, great action, great CGI, um, and one of my favorite 4K releases of the year. So solid movies. So again, for this one, it's basically the score, the 4K score for these films, and just gonna, so starting off with Jungle Cruise. Jungle Cruise gets a 7.8. Good score, not great, but still um, top four of the 4Ks that I watched. Third place is Free Guy. Free Guy gets an 8.2. So again, solid movie. Coming in at number two is Shang-Chi with an 8.3. And that means my 4K pick of 2021 is Zack Snyder's Justice League with an 8.7. Really, really, really good. So, congratulations. So, so awesome. All right. The final category is my $24.99 Blu-ray of the year or Best Picture. Um, so this is strictly by score. Doesn't matter the genre. Doesn't matter when it came out. Doesn't matter if it's 4K or Blu-ray, because the 4K usually has the Blu-ray. So this is just by score. The top four scored movies of 2021 as judged by me. So first nomination is Nobody. Great, great action flick, great fight scenes. Love the movie. Totally awesome. Number two is Soul. I loved the story of this one. I loved how it played out. I love the music in it. I love how it made me laugh. Really touching story. Just an amazing film. And you'll notice why I like the animated movies more. Number three is Mitchell's versus the Machines, and this is mainly the the story, the action, what it does, the family element, the narration in it. That's really, really well done. I was really impressed with it. And then the fourth nomination, also the winner of the uh, best 4K, is Zack Snyder's Justice League. Again, we're going by just by score, so its 8.7 definitely falls in here. So, what to think about these movies? So these movies are in totally different genres. So I'm just going by the score. If with more subscribers, I will definitely put this out and put it to a poll, you know, which we'll schedule next year. Hopefully, I'll have some more followers and we'll actually do some stuff. Okay. So in fourth place with an 8.5 is Nobody. Great movie. Really, really awesome. But it does not quite win for Best Picture of the Year. But congratulations on being the most violent. Sounds kind of weird. Anyway, so at 8.6 and third place is Mitchell's versus the Machines. This is one you definitely should watch. I think it's still playing on Netflix, but if not, it's out on Blu-ray. Definitely check this out. Didn't much, the artwork was the doesn't quite make it for me. With an 8.7, and in second place is Zack Snyder's Justice League. The Snyder Cut of Justice League. I was so impressed with this, and I was so impressed watching this in 4K that it was a definite blessing for me. I was really touched by it. It was amazing. So coming in first for my Blu-ray picture of the year, and my only 9 of last year. This movie gets a 9.2 because it has all the elements you want in a movie, um, not necessarily just an animated movie. Because as an animated movie, it's good for most of the family. Um, it tells a really good story for the adults, and it's got some really good fun colors and sequences for kids. So coming in as my Blu-ray picture of the year for 2021, the Lowedown Awards Soul. And congratulations to I think Jamie Foxx stars in this. And of course I can't see it, but I do believe it's Jamie Foxx. It sounded like his voice. It's just a beautiful, beautiful movie. And this this makes me a little bit sad that this would be my pick of the year and that I would have 2 animated movies in my top 4 of the year. So hopefully 2022 will bring me more quality films. Um, I've already watched a few that are really good. But anyway, I want to congratulate all the winners, all the movies that were nominated. I don't think anybody is going to ever see this, so I'm going to get 1 or 2 views, but I'm glad I did this. It helped me kind of get to know how this works. And I just need to do a couple different things because I'm a little tripping that my screen is reversed. So I'm going to work on that. But anyway, I want to thank you guys very much for not seeing this. And if you do watch it later, yay, thank you so much. Next year, I want to do it where my nominations get voted by you, and then you guys actually pick the winner. But I need more than 1 viewer total that didn't do anything. Um, anyway, again, thank you guys so much. Now I'm going to go put all these movies back where they go. And so that's going to take me another 20 minutes. But take care, everybody. And like, subscribe, turn your notifications on because there's more content to come. Thank you so much.